I'm noticing a lot of students getting stuck on this ColorMix part. So if you're going through the, what is it, exercise 17, and you get to this point where all of a sudden you're getting these red errors on the switch, and the errors will say, let's see what it says, has no member. By the way, sorry, I'm a little sniffly today and a little congested. I don't know, I might have picked up something. So if you're having these problems, then this is the tutorial for you. I'm just going to run through how to fix this. Now, this is in regards to the book here. Then we're in chapter 17, and we're on page 124 now. And what it's going to tell you to do is to reconnect these buttons or these switches. It's going to ask you to reconnect them instead of as actions, instead of like waiting for the action to happen. So an action is like if someone clicks on that button, we're going to make it an outlet. And an outlet is basically like a connection, like a pointer. So you can affect like the color, or you can just connect the button and not necessarily wait for the action. I'll show you. So, okay, you're having these red errors, and here's your code. And let's go over to the storyboard first. And originally it asks you to connect them via actions, IB actions. So here's the button, and if you click on the button and you go over here to this little arrow key here, you'll see it's connected. I don't know if it says outlet here somewhere, but I mean it says action here, but oh yeah, when the value is changed, then trigger this code. Basically, this means when the value is changed, trigger the red switch code. We don't want to connect it that way. It asks you, the book asks you to change that. So we'll close this out. So if you click that little X, that means it deletes the action. And here's actually interesting. We've got a bunch of actions there. I'm going to close all these out, delete all these, and then delete all these. And now instead of connecting it that way, we're going to make them outlets. So you can't just go like this because I don't think we've declared outlets yet. So if you go back over to the code now, let's look at the code. Yeah, all your actions, let's delete these. And instead of IB actions, what we want is an IB outlet. Now, you can type all this out, but there's an easier way. And the easier way is to click these little Olympic rings here. And if you don't have these Olympic rings, then I don't know. I think they still have this in all versions of Xcode. But and now it's going to be a little weird because you're going to have two like code windows here. You need to change one of them to the view itself. I'm going to give myself a little room by minimizing this. And then go up here, and let's see here. How do we get to it? I'm going to go to manual. What I want to try to find is the storyboard. Yeah, here we go. Storyboard. So now we've got the storyboard over here, and we've got the code over here. And now you hold down the control key. I'm sorry. Yeah, is it a control? Control click. Yeah, control key, click, and then drag over here. And then instead of action, select outlet. Okay, we're going to call this one red switch and hit connect. And now you see the code is a little different. It says IB outlet. Here's the name. It's a UI switch, but there's no open close. There's no action to take place here afterwards. So now it's just this code is just saying if the red switch is on, then da da da. If the green switch is on, so see red switch is now green here. So make sure that these match. Make sure that these words match. Sorry if I'm a little out of it today. So again, let's do that again. Hold down Control, click, drag on the second one here now, and change it from action to outlet. And then we'll call this one. It's got to be named exactly the same as it is down here, or it won't function. Just to mess it up, I'm going to do green swoosh, and you'll see. I hit connect there. Okay, let's do this. So green swoosh, right? It's not going to fix the thing down here because these two things have to match, right? So if you do this, and then you change green switch up here, and you just rename it, then you've got a problem. And let me show you your problem. Your problem is that this is still connected to green swoosh, not green switch. And when you run the app, it'll crash. So Once you name these outlets, do not rename them, or you'll crash your app when you try to run it. And a way to check that is, okay, I'm going to go. Actually, first I'm going to connect the last blue switch, just because I'm in this assistant editor, and it's so. And then I'll show you how to fix the swoosh. So blue switch, and I change it to outlet connect. Okay, now blue switch should turn green here. Great. Okay, so now we're going to go back to the main view of the, and I want to look at the storyboard because I know that I broke this, and I could show you how it'll crash maybe. Yeah, we'll go ahead and build and run just to show you how it'll crash. Build and run is Command R, by the way, or you can hit this play button here. Okay, yeah, there we go. There's the crash we're looking for. So if you see a bunch of gibberish down here, when you try to run it, it's crashing. Good thing to know. And so I'm going to hit stop. I'm going to stop the simulator now and go over to the storyboard and show you why it's crashing. Open up the assistant. Is this assistant editor? No, the inspector. Open up the inspector here, and then click on the connection. Actually, why isn't the connections showing up here? Yeah, there we go. So maybe click away and click back to it until the if you have this arrow selected. So you'll see it says red switch and it's connected to the view controller in the outlets. That's great. This one says green swoosh. See, it still says swoosh there, but I changed the text over here to switch. Right? Green switch. Now what's interesting is what usually happens, I don't know why it's not working right now, is actually let's select up here, and that'll show you everything, right? So select up here in the bar, and that shows you everything. Yeah, here's what I was looking for, is when you have problems like that, then you want to look for these exclamation points. If you see any exclamation points over here in the outlets or actions, then you've probably renamed something and it's going to crash. So you see the little yellow there. Let's close that out completely. Close this one out completely. And see what's left is this green switch. So now here's the other way that you can make these connections is you can go into the storyboard or the view controller. You can type out this code and you'll see how the circle is empty here. If the circle's filled, then it's connected. Now, this isn't always 100% accurate. Sometimes it takes the computer a while to realize when it's connected. So this isn't always true. But you'll see that it's not connected, or at least I think it's not connected. And so you can actually go over here and click on the top bar again. And now it shows you all the options you have for this inside of the view controller code. And click and drag, just as regular click and drag to the switch here. Now it's connected. What I find interesting is the color view has no outlet now. So why is that? Let's go and open up our assistant editor again, this thing. And we're going to make a connection for the color view, because that should definitely have a connection too, or else it won't work. So let's see. So I'm going to give myself some room. I don't want two storyboards. I want one storyboard and one bit of code. So I'm going to go over here until I can find the view controller code. If you're clicking around and you see it say like interface in parentheses here, you have to start over. You have to back out and try to redo the assistant editor because it's not working right. Control and let go. And I'm going to call this color view. I believe that's what it was worded. If it's not, then I got to do this again. All right, so now let's see. Is there a color view anywhere else in this code? So what I did was I double clicked on it. I hit Control C, Control F, Control V, which is copy, find, and I pasted this in the find window. And see, yeah, here's the color view, background color. Okay, so it's should be connected now. So I'm going to build and run it again and see what happens. See if it crashes again. If it does, then I'll do a little more research. But it should be good to go now. Now when we click over here, the investigator, what is it called? The inspector shouldn't have any yellow marks there. Let's go look. Storyboard, select this, and let's look. Yeah, there's no yellow. It didn't crash, it launched, and okay, our switches are working, but not working really. So let's see here. This looks like just like a warning. I'm not going to worry about that. So now I'm going to go back to the book and see what's next. It looks accurate, yeah. Oh, wait a second. When is this function called? Wait a second. Yeah. Okay. This is so now the function is if the switch is changed, then it wants you to execute some code, right? Here's a problem is switch changed never happens, right? Because you flip the switch and the action doesn't happen. So let's look in the book where it wants you to put that in. Finally, to update the action, call the new function, remove the code, yeah, and replace it with update color. Okay, I see. I wasn't supposed to delete those actions. I was supposed to leave them in. I'm a knucklehead. So we're going to okay, so now we have this function. It's called switch changed and update the color. Oh, wait a second. Oh, yeah. Okay, I'm debugging someone else's code here. So here's a couple things. First of all, this color view, it was listed there before. Remember, I made a new connection called color view up here. There's one color view also outside of the here's the end parentheses or end curly brace for the view controller. So when you make these connections, make sure you put them inside of the view controller that you're working from. So I'm going to delete that variable that was declared out there. Also, this function here is declared outside of the view controller too. So I'm going to cut that and paste it inside the view controller. Okay, switch changed. Okay, so let's see if it works now. I'm not sure that it will. I think we might need to put those IB actions back in, and then anytime the IB action is triggered, then update the color. But sometimes there's some built-in functionality once you implement outlets and once you implement certain objects. But yeah, see, it's not working because I broke it by deleting those IB actions before. So no big deal. We'll put them back in. Let's put them back in both ways. So we'll put them back in. Let's put them back in the easy way, which is open up the assistant editor, give yourself some space. Now control, click on it, control click on the thingy. And then action is going to be called, I'm going to call this red action to differentiate it because it can't be named red switch. Value changed, connect. Okay. So now inside of here, all we got to do is say update color. Boom. So now when you flip the red thing, it triggers this function to happen. Update color, and it says if the red switch is on, do the thing. You know what's interesting actually? It's the same function for all of them. So what we can do is we can call this button action instead, and then give them all the same action. You can't do that with outlets. Outlets are like one-to-one, but you can do that with actions. So what's interesting is I just renamed it here. Remember I said never do that because it's going to break it. So let me show you how to fix that again, because now if we run the app, it'll crash. So again, opening up the main view here, let's go back to the storyboard. This is probably the last time we'll have to do this. And then select up here and find the one that I broke. Yep, here it is down here. See, there's the exclamation point, bad news. Close it out. And see, now there's one called button action. And button action, actually that same function should work for all these. So I'm going to go, oh, here, let me show you this. So click and drag and release. Now, when you release, it's going to give you a bunch of options. The one you want is touch up inside. touch up inside. That means your user touched the button and then their finger went up inside the button. So sometimes you touch a button and you didn't mean to touch it, and you drag outside the button and release, and it doesn't trigger. So that's just like a thing that you want. So the other way to do it is you can select the button. I'm showing you 100 different ways, sorry. And you can also do it this way, touch up inside, then select button action. Unfortunately, with Xcode, there's like a million ways to do this. So you can select the top here, and then it shows you everything. And now let's connect the last one like this. Touch up inside. Boom. So now we've connected all 3 buttons to this one IB action called button action. And the button action just updates the color. Boom. Now this switch changed. Here's something interesting. When you select the name, see how it doesn't have an underline or anything? If you select this one, watch. See how it highlights it? And you select this one, it doesn't highlight it? That usually means that it's not being called anywhere inside your code. You can actually delete this. Just a little pro tip for you there. Okay, so let's see if it works. Again, sorry I'm sniffly today. Oh, it crashed. Cool beans. Let's see what's going on here. That's cool. Let's see. So sometimes you can read these crashes, and sometimes they give you some tips, some tricks, some clue as to why it crashed. Unexpectedly found nil while unwrapping an optional value. So when it says that, usually there's something that's an exclamation point. Let's see. Let's look for an exclamation point on the screen. So there's a view. There are views. Maybe one of our views isn't connected. Aha! Look, it says it's not connected here. So let's reconnect it. I'm going to go over to the storyboard. Take a look. And oh, indeed, there's the green switch. I never reconnected it. That's crazy. Okay. Green switch. Wait a second. Red, green, blue. Okay. Now let's try it. Boom. Bang. Bang. What's interesting to me is, didn't I say red, green, blue? Well, why is the top one green? Well, that's probably because the constraints are all messed up in this. So let's do this. See how it's got orange line here when you select it? That means that the constraints are, something's weird. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just hit Command A. That selects everything. And then I'm going to reset constraints here. Reset constraints. That'll kind of try and guess what the constraints are going to be. And the constraints are what slides the buttons around when you rotate the screen. And if you have a big screen versus a little screen, it's what kind of slides all the it's what kind of slides all the images and buttons around. So now let's see if the top one is red. Yeah. Green. Blue. Okay, now that's the effect I was wanting. Oh, it's kind of nice how it does that. Fancy. Okay. Hopefully this helps you. I'm going to try to edit it down so it's not like 100 minutes long. But I know this was troubling some of my students, and this will get you closer to finishing this project. Then just continue through. I don't know if that's the last piece of this puzzle, but no, then you got the sliders next. But it should help you along.